Dan, haven't we in the past talked about how the heat of summer can just shut down a firewood production facility?
We have. It has been a topic. The weather in general. I think we've
Yeah.
covered I think you have every season some type of reason to shut down, don't you?
Well, I definitely found a second thing that can shut down a firewood production facility, and it is the opposite of the heat of summer. Whew, boy.
The cold. Yes. Oh my gosh.
It is
and
cold.
well, I don't even know if you have it cold. We have it really cold up here. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, can we just all agree that when there's a minus in front of your temperature on the Fahrenheit scale, that's cold.
Yes. And when there's a minus in two digits, that's even worse.
Yeah, that's really bad. The coldest that I recall here in Ohio was a few years back, and we were like in the minus 20s. And I still remember the house was making popping noises.
Yeah.
And like the rafters in the roof were shrinking from the cold and were popping, making these noises. That was kind of weird.
I've been hearing those sounds for the last 3 days. It is kind of weird, kind of crazy.
Uh-huh.
Like the deck will just all of a sudden make a big crack, big pop.
Yeah. And you probably hear that noise walking out to your furnace. Those are your joints
Yeah.
in your legs. And your brain is popping thinking, now why did I put this furnace in?
Well, I actually did a little experiment. I kept track of how many split pieces of firewood I used during this 24-hour cold snap, and I
Yeah.
was kind of surprised
More or
because,
less or the same?
well, it seems like a lot, but when you think about it, it was 42 total pieces throughout 20. So I filled up three different times.
Yeah.
But yeah, 42 total pieces. So
Are those, what do you mean by split? Is it like your traditionally sized split firewood?
yeah, nothing big and chunky, no big unsplit rounds, just
No
42
boiler,
standard pieces.
no boiler chunks, just like typical firewood from one of your bundles.
Well, a little bigger than a bundle would, maybe, twice the size
Yeah.
of bundle would.
Okay.
But less than 2 pieces an hour. Not bad,
Yeah. To heat a
I
whole
guess.
house.
Yeah.
And not to mention the heat loss between your furnace and your house, which we know is a lot.
Oh, when it's that cold outside, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, the worms in my grass between my furnace and my house, they wear sunglasses and have little umbrellas in their drinks because that's how warm the ground is where they live.
That's where they migrate to. That's the zone
Yeah.
for the winter to go on vacation.
Yeah. And then there's a couple lucky mice that they've figured out how to live in harmony under my furnace.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my line's pretty insulated pretty well. There's no signs of any heat loss.
Oh,
I
wow.
mean, there
Mine's
is,
the
but
opposite. Yeah, mine's the opposite. I recall 17, 18 years ago when we installed it and I looked at the price of that, the lines that you can buy. It's pre-made, it's encased in that hard plastic with all the foam filler in it,
yep.
and it comes with your 4 PEX lines and your thermostat wire and your Romex. I said, I ain't paying that much for that. I'll make my own. I probably shouldn't have done that.
Yep. That's the one thing you don't want to, I guess, skimp out on because it matters.
Yeah. Yeah. But Dan, something during all of this cold, I had something, it was interesting to me. Maybe we should just leave it at that. I went to I didn't go to it. I called a local pizza parlor to
Mm.
order a pizza. And spoiler alert, I didn't wind up getting anything. And it was an odd conversation. And I don't think it was probably odd for the pizza parlor, but it was for me because the bottom line was I didn't get anything. And I thought I would share this because I think that there are firewood service implications for what
Ooh.
for what had occurred.
Oh.
The same thing if you're selling, if you're a professional firewood delivery service, or if you're a hobbyist with a roadside stand, or a small firewood magnate, a member of the firewood mafia. Um, yeah, something weird happened.
Oh.
Tell me if I'm the weird one here. All right.
All right. Lay it out.
Okay. I called a pizza parlor. I was going to take home a small lunch for my wife and my youngest daughter. My oldest daughter went back to school and my youngest daughter was home. So there's no need to order a big pizza, which we always get what they call a half a sheet. It's the big square box and it has 12 square pieces in it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No. I
What do you mean, no?
normally when we get our pizza, it's round, it's cut into pie shape, and
Okay,
you just get it.
triangles. Well,
Yeah.
I'm getting to that point, but okay, this place sells square pizzas. They're
Oh.
square, and the pieces are square, and you get 12 pieces, and they call it a half a sheet of pizza.
Okay.
Half a sheet, 12 pieces. Okay, so for me, my wife and daughter, it's too much. Don't want that much. I wanted half of a sheet,
A
which would
fourth.
be how many pieces would that be, Dan?
Six.
Yes. 6 pieces. So I wanted 6 pieces of pizza. All right. So I call up and the lady answers the phone and she says, "Thank you for calling such and such. Is this for pickup or delivery?" Okay. I thought that was kind of odd, but I said, "I'll pick it up." And she goes, "Okay. And what is your last name?" She says. I was like, "What the heck? I want to order a pizza." So I tell her my last name. And then she says, "And what is the phone number you're calling from?" She said. I was like, "Good heavens, I'm getting interrogated here and I just want to order a pizza." Okay. So I tell her I would like to order 6 pieces of pizza, please. And she said, "Okay, our 12-inch pizza costs, $10."
Yep.
And I said, "Yeah, that sounds like that's a round pizza. I was wanting the square ones. I just want the square 6 pieces." And so now we start going back and forth. And she says, "Well, our 6 pieces are a round pizza, and you get 6 triangular shaped pieces." And so I'm now trying to calculate the area of a circle or a square, and is 6 pieces of square pizza the same as 6 triangular pieces from a 12-inch pizza? And I said, "Well, I don't know if that's enough." She goes, "Well, then you want the 14-inch pizza, which has 8 pieces in it." And I go, "Well, honestly, I just want square pieces." And I said, "I would just like to order 6 square pieces." She says, "We do not sell pizza by the slice." And I
Oh my.
said, and I said, "I don't want to buy pizza by the slice. I want 6 square pieces." She goes, "We don't sell 6 square pieces." They don't sell 6 square pieces. And I was just scratching my head on this because I was like, "Why can't you just sell me, 12 pieces, but just charge me for 6 and give me 6 of them?" And it was not part of their digital menu, whatever it was. So I told her, I said, "Look," I said, "I'm not very good at math. I'll have to call you back and figure this out." I had already made up my mind. I'm not buying their pizza, but I didn't want to be rude about it. So I hung up. And okay, so here's what I want to point out about this, Dan. All right. When you are in business, I think there's 2 ways that you can grow your business. One is that you are customer service and customer centric. You're focused on the customer's needs. And then
Yes.
there's other businesses that are process focused, where their entire existence is like what they would call like a sales funnel, where everything is directed towards what makes sense to them. And for this pizza parlor, it didn't make sense to them to sell me 6 square pieces. What the heck?
Well, no,
And they lose a sale over it, Dan. Come on.
that's they sell by the box and the half box, so they'd be left with the fourth box that they wouldn't sell the rest of the night.
Oh boy.
Why? I don't know
That
why. I would always have leftover pizza. I love
I
leftover
just
pizza.
wanted, yeah, it was just a simple task. I was just wanting 6 pieces of square pizza. Why was that so difficult? And I couldn't get it from this company. So I gave a hint, and I tried to do that to give you insight into the way that this pizza parlor operates. When I called them, they didn't say, "Hi, how you doing?" "Hi, are you staying warm?" They wanted to know if it is pickup or delivery. It's like data entry for them, process oriented.
Yes.
Then they had to know my name, and then they had to know my phone number, as if they're trying to verify who I am, or they're going to open up my pizza account to see what I have ordered in the past, to
Yeah.
instead of just asking me, "What do you want and how can we solve this problem?"
I don't know what to tell you. That's. I guess I don't order enough pizzas to know.
Oh, Dan, expand your brain now beyond pizza and look at firewood, and the way that we all do business. And it's just this whole, why do people have to complicate stuff? Why can't it be just take care of the customer?
I don't know. That's a good question, but one might ask, who was complicating this situation?
I know the answer to that. I know the answer to that.
Yeah, I don't know. What so if somebody were to call you though and want um let's see, what would be an example of something? A 1/6 of a chord, but 2/3 of the 1/6 needs to be cherry.
Yeah, I could do that. I could do that. Or if they were to call, okay, I didn't call the pizza parlor asking them for a hamburger, like if a
Yeah,
customer
right.
would call me up and
Yeah.
they would want 4 foot logs, I would say, guess what? You're calling the wrong service. But I would still try to figure out a way to get them pointed in the right direction,
Yeah.
or to figure out if that's what they actually wanted, you know? But in this case here, I don't know. I notice these kind of things when you go into businesses, and normally your smaller mom and pops aren't like that. And all of our pizza parlors in this town are all like locally owned. They're not some franchise, where they got to follow some prescription,
Yeah.
to get their sales. Yeah, it was real frustrating. I just wish people could turn off those computers sometimes and engage with the human element of business. Because here is a customer standing in front of them that wants to give them their money while he's on the phone. I want
Yes.
to give them their money, and all I need is 6 square pieces. What
Yeah.
the heck? Why couldn't they just cook up six and charge me for 12 and divide it by two? Why is that so complicated?
I don't know. I got two words for you though.
Yeah.
Take and bake. You just have to buy your own.
I should have tried to win employee of the month, and I could get me my frozen pizza.
Oh yeah.
I could
There
do it
you
like
go.
that. Yeah. There was another This happened ironically on my way to the Paul Bunyan show one year. I was up super early, and I stopped at a McDonald's off of Interstate 77, and I walk into the McDonald's and they were packed, very busy. A lot of people at the counter. And I order my food, and I'm standing next to an Amish man who's also waiting on his food. And this elderly lady comes up with her Big Mac, and she goes up to the counter and she says, "Excuse me, but could you have this Big Mac cut in half, please?" So the counter lady took it from her and says, okay. So me and this Amish guy are standing there just shooting the breeze. Well, it was forever. And this elderly lady comes back because she never got her Big Mac back, and she said, I had sent a Big Mac back to get it cut in half. Could I have it? So the lady comes back with her Big Mac, and she goes, here it is, but we didn't cut it in half. We're not allowed to do that, she said.
Oh my. Yep.
Yeah. So me and the Amish guy are kind of looking at each other, and this lady gets mad and frustrated, and she wants the manager, and the manager says that we don't have knives. We're not allowed to do it, yada, yada, yada. And me and the Amish guy had a pocket knife. He had, jokingly like snuck it out of his pocket, and he was looking at me like, here, lady, I'll cut it in half for you.
Yeah.
So they're fighting over the fact that this Big Mac. So I was upset for both of them because first off, I was thinking, lady, just tear the Big Mac in half, or
Right.
get a plastic spoon and do it. But then the restaurant wouldn't do it to begin with. And I was like, just cut the stupid Big Mac in half
Yeah.
instead of like throwing all these policies in this lady's face. No one cares about your policies. Take care of the customer.
They gotta have a knife back there. Gee, come
Yeah,
on.
you'd think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yep.
heard it with my own ears. She said that they don't have knives and they're not allowed to do it. It's like, get a plastic spoon and use the handle. Put
Yeah.
half of it in your cash drawer and slam it shut and cut it in half like that. Just cut the stupid Big Mac in half. Let's go. Yeah, there we go.
Yep.
Take care of the customer, Dan.
Yeah, that is key. But
Yeah,
like you said, some places have those policies in place where they complicate it. It's got to be complicated.
complicating things. Why does
Yep.
everything have to be complicated?
I don't know. I try not to keep or to make things complicated, but
Yeah,
sometimes it just goes that way.
yeah, I guess. But I know there's one thing that's not going to be complicated:
Uh-oh, what's that?
the International Firewood Expo.
Oh, yes, the days are counting down.
Yeah, the first weekend in May, and I think the people that have been around for the previous two, they know how I operate. And now it's up to a new group because we have a large roster of people coming in that really don't have a working relationship with me. And they're soon going to find out how I operate because I've already had a few that are, I don't know, it's like the opposite. They are wanting clearly defined rules and booth spaces, and a prescription for the weekend and stuff. And I told them, you're not going to get one.
Show up. That's all you got to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Show up and we will point. And we may point over there or we may point over there.
So you have a larger venue, so you're not worried
Yep.
about space,
Nope.
and you're just going to kind of let things lay out however they happen.
Yeah. That's what I did last year. Easton Made showed up first, and that's why their processor went where it did. But
Yeah.
if any of the others
Well,
showed up first, it would have been different.
there was only so many places that thing was going to fit anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were there last year. Didn't you have the sense that this could be expanded?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yep. It was definitely, but again, like you've mentioned before, like it did kind of have that nice intimate feeling of being in a wood yard, you know.
Yes.
But I think I think laying it out with more open space isn't necessarily a bad thing. As long as you kind of have, you're going to want to have some type of, you don't want stuff spread out all over the fairgrounds.
Correct. Yeah. I have it in my head. The challenge right now, though, is that it's under a foot of snow and it's hard for me to, now that I know who's, at least right now when we're recording this episode, who's coming, because we're still growing. There's still a
Yep.
number of people who I know will be coming, but I haven't put them on the list yet. We're going to have a lot of people there. But the fairgrounds are just spread out, man. And that's where I was thinking for when it felt really crowded last year at my wood yard, I think it would be a ghost town at the fairgrounds. So
Eh,
I
I
think I
don't know.
need to define some spaces, but I like having the extra space.
Well, are you going to have like any thought into where like certain machine, like you're not going to want all the processors in one spot because that might get loud. So are you going to like
Yeah.
kind of space some stuff out that way, kind of have, you know,
Yeah,
a
it's
flow
kind of
maybe?
been in my head. I was thinking of in one way I was thinking maybe all the processors should be together because that would help moving logs because we're still going to have to like fork logs around.
Yep.
But also too, maybe I like variety and just move stuff around. But then some companies, there's some companies like Timberwolf and Easton Made that make splitters and processors. And then there's some companies that just have splitters. I
Yeah.
don't think any of those would matter. I did some investigating at the Paul Bunyan, and the one thing I think that I need to be aware of are the chainsaws. If we have like chainsaw carvers, I guess the people that get stuck next to the chainsaw carving booths have a miserable weekend
Oh, yes.
because it gets old after a while, I
Gets a
guess.
little
So,
gets a little loud.
yeah. So I need to be sensitive to that. Now, I don't know if we'll have anyone there running saws like that, but if we do, we got to make sure we put them in an appropriate area.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
All the other
that's where,
machines, they're not super loud.
but that's where like some of those, like if Easton Made brings that 40C with the big circular saw running,
Uh-huh.
and then you have them like right next to, Chain Locker or Go Fast, that might be a little hard for the customer, interaction,
Yeah.
talking. I don't know. But
They also don't run them all the time though.
right. I was just going to say, they don't run them all the time. You kind of have stages throughout the day that they are running, so should
Yeah.
be fine.
Yeah, we're going to have some nonprofits come. The Alliance for Green Heat has signed on, and I have a couple. What would you call these guys? They make websites, and they're developing an app, and they're going to be bringing a booth. And
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
I think the one is in an early enough stage where he still may be doing industry research instead of trying to sell it, but he's trying to get people's input.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. So have you been to the website internationalfirewoodexpo.com?
I have.
We just did some updates I'd like to tell everyone about. So I do have the official vendor list on it, and that is a living document. So we will continue to add as people sign up. And I've added kind of like a blog page to it that we'll use for updates and stuff. Just a way for me to get information out.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm looking here and I don't see any square slice pizza vendors yet.
Gosh.
So you
Take
might have to get them or get somebody there with some square slice
yeah.
pizza. Yeah.
Take care of the customer. For instance, I already had a dealer who is a dealer of a manufacturer who's from Europe, and he emailed and he asked could he get his tent, his booth next to the manufacturer because they're also coming. I was like, heck yeah, we'll
Yeah.
just put you wherever you want. We'll just go with it. What I should have said, well, first you must fill out this form, and
We
once
need
we
to,
take appropriate measurements and
yes.
consult with our chat GTP.
Square footage. How many square footage? How much square
Yeah.
footage do you need? Yeah.
Yeah. The answer is yes. Easy. Take care of the customer.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
I like it. Well,
Yeah.
speaking of taking care of the customer, I
Yeah.
um I just got notified that I have an order to go fill.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are you going down to the back 40 small firewood fulfillment center?
Yes. The mini firewood fulfillment center.
I am so glad you conformed to uh, modern industry.
Yes,
It's
the
not. It's
terminology.
not a. Yeah. It's a fulfillment center.
I was missing something, and that was exactly what it was. The
Sounds like you
shipping
need a new
department. Nah,
shipping
can't be.
department.
Yeah, what
That
is
is
that?
so 20th century. You are a fulfillment center. You need a sign. You need a new T-shirt.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, Dan, I am got this weird craving for pizza all of a sudden.
Yeah. Hopefully, you can find a square slice of it somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going out anywhere today. It's too cold.
Yeah,
Taking the
that's
day
true. Now,
off.
just real
It's
quick though, were
dangerous.
they square or rectangle slices? Because back in high school, we always had the rectangle slices of pizza.
Shaped like a shingle. We had those same ones
Yep.
too. So like, did you have the trays that had the little compartments? You know, there
Yep.
was one for your milk would go in it, and it had like a little dent in it for a coffee cup so it wouldn't slide around.
Yep.
And
Oh
then you
yeah.
had like one for your jello squares, your green beans, and then the long one that your pizza would fill up.
Oh, that was good pizza. I like that pizza.
Pizza day was always my favorite day for
Yep.
a school lunch. Yeah. I remember too, when I was in elementary school, our lunches were 45 cents. And that was before I could even count money. I always had to have a quarter and 2 dimes with me when I would go to school. And that was how I had to pay for my lunch.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're not getting
Our kids had pin numbers.
right. Yeah. Now you just got to punch in a
Yeah.
number. Dun.
Uh-huh.
Done.
Yeah. That would have never worked for me. I'd have never been able to remember it. That's why I couldn't count the 45. I knew it was 1 quarter and 2 dimes.
1 quarter and 2 dimes.
Oh yeah. Love high school. You took me back there, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That pizza.
Well, these pizzas were square. And
Okay.
that was just blowing my mind too about calculating, was that be area with triangular pieces versus square pieces? And yeah, I wanted a pizza, not a math test. Gosh.
Well,
Yeah.
hopefully next time you'll find a different place for your pizza that'll
Yeah.
accommodate the customer and give you what you want.
I just came up with a brilliant idea. I'm going to get a map of the fairgrounds that the expo is going to be at, and I'm going to draw out the booth spaces, but I'm going to make them triangles. Yeah, triangles and polygons. I don't even know
Yes.
what a polygon is, but yeah, just something with,
Octagons.
yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or just make it shaped like slug trail. Oh gosh. The fun you can have with an international firewood expo.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, I
It'll
hope
be good.
everyone comes to it.
Yeah.
You know, the more the merrier. We certainly got space. We're going to have another raffle this year.
Mm,
I got to watch the expenses because I have to advertise for this thing and get it into multiple markets on TV. And I'm trying to make it so it's free entry, but it may or may not be. But if you could participate in a raffle, that's going to help me out a lot.
yes.
Yeah.
More to come. We'll have more to
Yeah.
come as we approach and get ready for the International Firewood Expo
There you go.
2025. Five.
Yeah. Yeah. 2025. Check out the website, internationalfirewoodexpo.com.
All right.
All right, Dan.
And with that, I think we'd like to thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Woodhounds, the #1 firewood podcast in the world.
That's right. And please consider a 5-star review, regardless of the streaming service you listen to. And if you were to do that, you will be awarded 1/2 of a Big Mac.
Cut in a square.
Yeah, and you'll be offered a triangular shaped Big Mac cut in half.
All right.
All
Let's
righty.
strike up the band.
Yeah, strike up the band, Dan.
All right, there we go.
Okay. All right. Well, Dan, let's tell everyone out there to eat
Square pizza.
and try to stay
Safe while eating your pizza.
It's going to say warm.
Warm. Oh, yes.
Warm. Okay. Yeah. And have
a great day.